Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I am so honored today to have Grace Simon with us today. Thank you so much, Grace, for being here with us today. Grace is a hero. This is what I call her. She has she has made incredible changes in her city, Newmarket, with body rub parlors. So, can you tell us what you did for your laws to be changed so that there are no body rub parlors in your city? If you can do this, anybody else can do this.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Thank you so much for having me, Jessa. It's really nice to be here. And yeah, I think that's the message is that if I can do this, anybody can do this. But I mean, it first starts with getting in a place of influence, being in a position that your voice can be heard, which is really, really important. So if you have a love for people, you have a love for your city, you have a love for your community, and you care about how the governance of your community, then a great place to start is to get involved in municipal government. And that's where I started. um, we started in first, 20 years prior was shutting down the last strip club that ever existed in our town. And it became our local church. The building actually became our local church. I don't know if I shared that story with you or not, but yeah, we did. Okay, we talked about that. And so 20 years later, when I ran for city council, we were running for business licenses in our town. Didn't have like a variety of different business licenses, and so one of the licenses that was on the list was body rub parlors, and many people aren't even aware of what rub parlors are. They're a lot different than RMT licensed massage therapist
Yes.
therapy that you go and get done. And a lot of people are not aware, but just our town is about 90,000 people. And I had noticed it over the years that we were getting a lot of these very different massage parlor. They're very sketchy and they're very illegal, and yeah, they shouldn't be in your town. So pay attention to them. You'll see like bear signs that say spa or massage, and they don't look very luxurious. They don't at all. And anyways, so that licensing came forward, and I knew that was probably one of the reasons why I was sitting on city council was to deal with licenses for body rub parlors. So there was never a licensing. So that means that it was never governed. And your city where you are, whoever's listening to this, probably doesn't have any licensing governing body rub parlors because we were the first town
Yeah.
in Canada to put forward a licensing of body rub parlors. Now, it did not rid us of massage parlors. So I want to clarify that is that we did shut down illegal, unlicensed body rub parlors when we did license, because the businesses weren't willing to conform to the licensing that we put forward. So it's not perfect, but it is good because it's put some teeth on the situation where bylaw officers, police officers have access. Floor plans have to be given to us, and they have to they have to set their business according to certain rules and regulations that we have, that apply to federal and provincial and municipal laws. And so it gives us opportunity to keep women safe that are working in these establishments,
Wow.
and also for us to keep an eye on what's taking place with the businesses.
Many women are trafficked into these body rub parlors or similar business places like that. So, can you share with us what you know about that, how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know everything, but what I do know, Jessa, is that they're not necessarily trafficked into these establishments. They are, or they not. Every situation is different.
Yeah.
However, many are lured into this business, right?
Yeah.
It costs a lot to live. It costs a lot to pay for education. These are mothers, these are sisters, these are regular women. So shutting down parlors for me is very sensitive in the fact that these are there are people. in these establishments. There's women, there's girls in these places that are looking to provide for their family or provide for themselves, and they've been lured into these situations of being able to work for money. And so the ones that are trafficked into these establishments can be, they could be human trafficking, and human trafficking is not necessarily sexual trafficking, right? And so how a lot of human trafficking happens in our country is, for instance, if they're wanting to move to another country, they're wanting to get out of their current situation of wherever they are, they're promised a job, they're promised living quarters, they're promised many different things to, in order to have a different life or a different lifestyle, or to move to a different country. And so there's organizations that, they'll say that they'll provide all the necessities of being able to get to a new country, a new place, and they end up working in these establishments. However, in my town, it was very different. It wasn't necessarily immigrants that have been lured into these establishments, even though there are, but not all. And that's the reason how we had this licensing come forward, was actually examples of girls from that were born and raised in my town, Newmarket,
Wow.
families a part of Newmarket. They were yeah, they were brought into the situation where they worked at a strip club, they ended up in a massage parlor, and they worked there and got themselves into that situation. Not themselves into that situation, but they got into a situation that they couldn't necessarily just walk out the door and leave. Yeah, it's no one. I don't believe just so that anybody would actually choose to work there. It does, they're enticed by a vulnerability of what they need, and
Yeah.
they're promised, right? They're promised different things, and then, you know, a a lot of times, even now, people do things because they're desperate to provide, right? To put food on their
Yes.
table, especially now in Canada. It's the cost of living is so horrendous, like it's so massive. And so when you're trying to get through school, you're trying to put food on the table, you're raising children, and something's offered to you, then you know it's very appealing sometimes, right? In what is being presented, and then it becomes something very different once you get into the industry.
Yes. A form of slavery.
Yeah, it is. It is. And myself, I haven't been in that situation. I haven't even, thank goodness. But for my friends that have come out of that lifestyle, they tell me that they get threatened, they get threatened. They get threatened to have their face punched in, and, their families do get threatened, and it's nasty. They'll, instead of hitting their face, they'll pretend that they're going to go to hit their face, and then they'll punch the wall, or, they just really threaten physically. They threaten emotionally, mentally, of course, drugs, alcohol, whatever,
Yeah.
um, is the vulnerability. Then they're abused in that way. So
So they're living under a lot of intimidation and
a lot
control.
of intimidation and control. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not just men doing this, it's actually women that are luring other women into these situations and
Wow.
circumstances.
When you were going through the process of licensing, what kind of pushback from or opposition did you face, and how did you deal with that?
That was really fun, actually. It's so intense, but it was a lot of fun. Municipal government isn't, usually that intense. Than residents, be getting upset about something being built in their backyard, or right, a new
Mhm.
facility being close to their houses. But this was a totally different level of intensity. And so when we started the process, we got a variety of different people, mainly human rights activists, people staging as being lawyers and professors of universities and immigration centers, and very well postured individuals came into our meetings to plead against the fact that we were trying to license bodywear parlors.
Wow. What were some of their reasonings, or give us one example of some of the reasonings?
Oh, they're saying that we were preventing people from being able to work,
Okay.
which we weren't.
Yeah.
They were accusing us of being racist, which this was not a racial issue whatsoever. This was a community issue. And so the people that were coming in, they have an agenda. They have an agenda to see prostitution being passed in Canada. And so they were coming at us at another angle for what they were trying to pursue at a federal level. So they were coming in and they were trying to manipulate and bully us into, not pursuing the licensing, saying that we were taking away jobs, they were preventing people from working, that we were being discriminatory, racist, yeah, and ignorant of the situation.
How did you handle that yourself personally?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was great because
You're meant for this job.
I was meant for this job and meant for this opportunity, and and it's really, God's grace. He put me into this position. So
Yes.
um yeah, so he gave me the excitement and the confidence and the joy to pursue this. And we have great people in this community um that really got involved when I asked them to come and show up and to present their side and their viewpoint of why we should have these licenses. And we did, and we had people that actually have regular massage clinics that are saying, we don't want to be put in the same alignment as these
No,
businesses,
no.
And my push really, Jessa, was that we want to support legitimate businesses.
Yeah.
Newmarket is about family. It's about community. It's about economics. New business establishments are very important to us. Families are very important to us. Community events is very important to us. And we are a very inclusive town. We are very inclusive. So the fact that they were trying to say that we were racist and yeah, that we were discriminating infuriated the mayor, which was absolutely perfect because he's extremely inclusive and he loves people. And so to try to push that card across the table on him and council, he was not having any of that. So it was amazing to watch. But it got pretty intense and it got pretty serious that they were, coming at us at the angles that they were trying to. And so I just said, we want to support legitimate businesses. And I asked the question, do you actually live in Newmarket? And the majority of people that came, actually all the people that came that showed up to give reason or to give voice, none of them lived in Newmarket.
Wow. None of
So
them.
for none of them lived in Newmarket. So for those of you who want to get involved in this and you get involved in your municipality about this body rub parlor licensing and this comes forward, ask that question. Madam, sir, do you live in this town? Is and like, do you live here? Do you do business here? Right? Are you invested in this community? The answer will be no. And then you say, well, then this has nothing to do with you because this is a Newmarket issue. This is your own city issue. It has
Yes.
nothing to
Yes.
do with you. And so at a municipal level, that's where you're able to really speak towards is that everything is about the people that live in this town. It's about keeping people safe, people, keeping good, a healthy, vibrant, exciting place for people to want to come and live and build business and build lives and build family here.
What were some encouraging things that you heard after you did a lot of this legwork? What were some of the rewarding things that you have experienced?
Rewarding was seeing pushback from body rub parlors that didn't want to comply, that shut down because they
Wow.
got fined for every day that they refused to comply with the licensing. Then they got charged, they got fined, and eventually they did have to close down. So I really enjoyed seeing that. I don't like people losing jobs. I just don't like seeing the wrong people running wrong business
Yes.
being allowed to stay in a community. So they can go to other communities. They can go there. That's fine. That's the governance of another city is their responsibility. But for me, that was my joy is saying that our governance where I live is good. It's
Yes.
it's right. It's looking for the protecting women and protecting communities. So For me, that was really a good thing. And then also watching our bylaw officers who really didn't know a lot about, like, they knew about body rub parlors, of course, and that they couldn't really have access. And it was really frustrating because they knew what kind of business really was taking place there and they couldn't have access. But when they really needed to put licensing policy around this and having to interview and speak to people, they were like, oh, Grace, we didn't like you get into this and you really see who's running these businesses. Like, it really does come to light of what's taking place. And so that helped them to really feel good about what it was that they were doing. And so now, when I talk to them, they said that municipalities are reaching out and asking about their licensing
Wow.
because we were the first ones to do it. And
Yes.
Joy Smith said municipalities won't even touch this license. They won't touch this licensing. And so when I saw that on the front lines of a paper, her comment, and we passed it, I was so proud. I was so
Yeah.
grateful that we did. And it was a unanimous vote in council,
Wow.
unanimous, because we saw, and actually it was another comment that another counselor made at the end of it. She's, because they tried to feed into our compassion about people losing jobs and not being able to pay for their families. Like, they tried to feed into
Toxic
the emotions of
toxic
council.
compassion.
Oh yeah, totally. And so, it swayed a lot of people that really didn't understand and don't really know. And so it did, start to pull on the heartstrings. I was like, oh no, this cannot be happening. And so one of the counselors was just so brilliant when she's so brilliant when she delivered her message. And I was actually thinking that she was going to vote for them when she was presenting, but at the end of it, she said, but I have, you've come here pleading this, that, that we're being racist and discriminating and this and that. And, we certainly don't want to come across as being that. And just, but all this time that people have come and present, not once have I heard you talking about um, the needs for the workers, the needs for the women. Not once did you prove how you are ensuring that there's proper working conditions, that they're meeting the proper um, employment codes, or meeting, just the meeting the needs of your people. Like, not once have you talked about the needs for your employees and what you're doing to help them to get the proper education and help them to establish their lives, or ensuring that they're living properly. Not once have you ever even addressed that.
Wow.
And it was absolutely true. All of the rebuttals, all the refusals of why we shouldn't be licensing was all about them and nothing about the people working in the businesses, because they don't care about them. So
Yeah.
that was brilliant. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
So if our listeners are feeling very encouraged by everything that you're sharing, because again, if your city, Newmarket, can do it, this can be done in everybody else's cities and towns.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
what would you say for, let's say, just top three advice, your top three advice or tips you can give to any listener for how to start making changes or strategies?
Okay. Well, step one is to take a drive around your town and take notice of what is in your town. What kind of businesses are being operated in your town? Take a look. Take a real good look at what's taking place in your community. How do you feel about those businesses that are being ran in your neighborhood, and what are you doing about it? So that would be step one, to look and see what there is. First of all, seeing if there's an issue, there's a growing, issue. I mean, at the time, we were up to, like, a town of 90,000, there was about 12 body rub parlors.
Wow.
Crazy. Like,
Wow.
what is going on that you
Yeah.
need 12 of those establishments in one small town? We're not even a city yet, right?
Believable.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So take a notice of that. Then once you take notice, reach out to your counselors, reach out to your city counselors, and make friends. Even if you're not going to talk about body rub parlors, I just want to implore people to make friends with your city councilors and your mayor. Get to know who it is that is serving your town and serving your community. Get to know them. Take them out for coffee. Take them out for lunch. Take them out. Say, you don't even have to take them out for lunch. Just come and say hello or give them a call and, call them out just to say, thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can help you do? That would be so really, because often people just show up when they need something, right? Or they don't like something. I'd say establish the relationship before that. Get to know the people, and then have the conversation regarding your concern about body rub parlors and if they would ever consider about putting forward a licensing. They probably don't know anything about it. So the next step I would say for you to do is to find out what kind of organizations you have in your town, your city, your community that is advocating against human trafficking. Are there any services? Are there any communities there that are actually, there's a need, right? There are people there that are combating human trafficking. They probably call them up, find out about their organization, who they are, and why they're doing what they're doing, and see if there's an issue, there's a need. They're at the front, they're at the front lines of it, so they'll know, and ask them, would this be something that would be important? Newmarket, and there's a town in BC now, a city in BC that has put forward a
Mm.
licensing now as well. So yeah, find out you know if they would be interested in helping to advocate for a body rub parlor license in town, and ask if they would be involved in that, because that was really the key, is having people that are running organizations in that community, in that town, being willing to come forward to give deputations and to ask for a licensing to come forward. So those are some simple things,
Very
really.
simple.
Very, very simple, very, very simple. And yeah, and just know that people don't know about these establishments. And probably people hearing about this don't really know. And so just go in with just a total humble heart, right? An open mind of, just saying, I've noticed this, right? I've spoken with people that have been in the industry. I've spoken with people that are involved in the organizations for advocacy, to help people to come out from trafficked situations, and this is what they're saying, and is there something that we can do, and then get involved.
I think that
Yeah.
is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing these keys. I have another question. Can you share at all of a story or a couple of stories of women that are now in your life, where they're at and how they feel about things today?
I've made friends with people that have been in situations, friends that tell me about the lifestyle that they were entrapped in,
Wow.
and how they got out. But how they got out was, so I have three close friends that were in the industry, and all three of them were brought through because of believers that loved purely, that had not been in the industry before. So, people say, well, I don't know anything about it, and you should really have come out of the industry to be able to help others. And they will they will deny that and say that's not true. We need pure-hearted people that just love us,
Yes.
that will not judge us, but will just love us and care for us, and have lots of patience and lots of grace, and just be strong, real believers. Like, truly believe in Jesus, truly believe, that they can have a new life, that they truly can have the life that they desire to have the life that God desires to have for them. And that was really eye-opening for me, was
Wow.
to hear that from these three women that now are very strong, powerful advocates against human trafficking in our country.
This is very amazing.
Yeah, it really is, because we think, what can we do, right? And you don't know what you can do until you get involved in something that you're very passionate about.
You have set such an example for all of us to follow by your actions and by your life. So I just want to honor you and
Aw.
thank you. Like, thank you so much for this. Again, if any of our listeners or anybody just watching this video in the future feels like they do want to get a hold of you because you have some keys for how to do this successfully, is there a way that anybody can reach out to you?
Absolutely, you can. I'd love for you to reach out to me. You can reach me at grace.newdoors@gmail.com, or you can gsimon at newmarket.ca, either one. Yeah. Then I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so, so much. The description that Grace just shared with us, we'll have in the episode details. Again, thank you so much, Grace. And I just want to remind all of our listeners that everything we heard here today is to help us all understand that we can be a part of the solution. We can be advocates. We can be light in the darkness.
You're supposed to be light in the darkness. That can be, you are light in the
Are,
darkness. So you
yes,
got to get out of the dark to be the light.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And please share this.